Hey everybody, welcome to the nightly game plan trade of the week video sponsored by T3 Live. This week's trade is Chicago Bridge and Iron Company, an industrial company that has seen its stock cut in half recently. Ticker for CBNI is, not surprisingly, CBI. The play was what I call an exhaustion gap fade. It's one of my favorite swing trading strategies. Without going into too much detail, this stock has basically dropped from $90 to $16. And just look at the wide range bars at the bottom, look at the volume, and then recently it dropped again from $16 or $17 to $9.50. Look at the exhaustion volume on that gap down, massive volume, which is indicative that most of the sellers are out. But make no mistake, this was not a novice gap, so you wouldn't want to play it. You wouldn't want to play against it right away. Once it drops, sets up long, then sure, that's actually a really good opportunity to go long. Again, it's one of my favorite strategies, and it's actually one of the 8 strategies taught in the nightly game plan class, in the NGP class. The play is currently an open position and is up as of end of day today, up about 1550. The entry triggered yesterday. I'm recording this video on Wednesday, August 23rd. The source of play was the black room. Believe it or not, a lot of my swing plays come from the black room. The CBI was played short as a day trade when it gapped down on the 10th, this day, and now it's being played long as a swing trade. The picture of power was that daily exhaustion gap, and the entry was a 60-minute transition A breakout. The management, same as always, a combination of hourly pivots and daily bar by bar. We'll go over all of that in more detail in the next few minutes. Okay, here's the entry. Notice the entries on the hourly time frame. Once I find a good setup on the daily chart, I usually drop down to the hourly chart and find a perfect entry there. The entry was just over that green bar at 10:15 and the stop below the red one at 9:55. The difference between the entry and the stop is what we call the risk. That's what you're risking, and in this case it was 60 cents. And the difference between the target and the entry is the reward. That's what you're hoping to make, which in this case was $1.40 per share. So the entry was over 10:15, stop at 9:55, targets, 2 targets, 11.15 and $12. My risk per swing trade is $1,000, per day trade is 500. If you take $1,000 and divide it by 60 cents, which is the risk, you get the share size, which is 1667. The reward to risk on this play was 2.4. So basically I'm risking $1,000 and hoping to make $2,400. But wait a second. This trade was called in the nightly game plan, and my instructions to the students were that as soon as the play triggered, immediately raise the stop to 982. So the stop was actually 982, not 955. And the risk, if you do the math, based on a stop of 982, the risk would come out to about 550 rather than $1,000. The reward to risk is now 4.3, which is almost double what it would have been based on the original stop. You see, our job is to minimize risk and maximize reward. And that's what I try to do on this trade. That's what I try to do on every trade. Target 1 is usually the first area of resistance above, overhead resistance. In this case, it was that little shelf. And you can see when the stock got there today, it reacted to the resistance. So that tells us there were sellers in that area. So I have to take half. And while the predetermined target, I have to decide what the target is before the stock gets there. So the predetermined target one was set at 11.15. I actually managed to squeeze a little more out of the play. Once the stock got to target one, I started trailing half the position on the 15-minute time frame on a bar-by-bar trail. And I ended up exiting at 11.20, which is a little bit above my target one. By the way, all of this detail, the entry, the stop, the target, the share size, even the management, is all provided to NGP students so they can follow me on every single trade, follow exactly what I do. Okay, target 2 is the prior pivot high around $12. The back half is now being managed on hourly pivots, and the stop on the back half is currently at 10.27, which is the same as today's low of the day. Today's low of the day, same price. Not always, but typically a daily bar's low is a pivot on the hourly chart, and when they coincide, you get a really solid trail, which is the case, which is what we have here. Finally, this trade, just like last week's trade, the trade of the week, is based on the basic unit concept that we teach at T3. The trade triggers when once the stock transitions from stage 1 to stage 2. And you can see the transition on the hourly chart here. First, the stock comes from a stage 4 downtrend, then puts in a sideways base, and once it breaks above that base, that's where I get in. And once in the stock, now all you have to do is manage it. And that's it. Quite a wrap up, but I hope you enjoyed it. This is yesterday's P&L. This is the CBI. Got 1,667 shares, which is the correct share size for a $1,000 risk. I often round up or down to the whole number, but in this case, I guess I didn't. It got filled at 10.18, and by end of day, the trade was up about $700. That was yesterday. This is today's P&L, and it's even better, up 2K on the day. CBI made up close to half of it, or $900. Notice that I closed out of half. The trade reached target one, so I took half, and I still have 833 shares left. We'll see on the back half. I'm shooting for $12 on the back half. Feel free to look it up after you watch the video this weekend. It will have either reached target 2 or trailed out. The other open positions that you see on here are just some other swing trades that I have. I was hoping to briefly review these open positions, but this video is already getting too long, and I won't have time to go over them. But if you want to see and participate, take trades like these, you gotta join the Nightly Game Plan program. It's truly an incredible program that practically puts money in your pockets, in addition to the education and the mentoring and the guidance that go along with it. So it's a really, really good program. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this week's video. If you have questions, please reach out to customer service. Info's at the bottom. Have a great weekend and hope to see you around.